Some ham radio fanatics are teaching the public about an old but helpful way to communicate. TV 20's Alexis Goings shows us how one vintage piece of equipment can help people in emergency situations.
When communication lines go out due to emergency situations like hurricanes, ham radios can be used as another form of communication. The Gainesville Amateur Radio Society invited residents to Waldo City Square to show them how they can use ham radios in case of emergencies.
The thing about ham radio is when everything is down and gone away, if we have a problem, no internet, no nothing, you can set up a radio and start communicating by yourself with no other connection to the utilities or anything like that. So that's what really makes it exciting for me.
Barbara Matthews started using ham radios as a hobby. She says they allow you to talk to hundreds of people across North America.
Talking to people is the thing that's at the heart of ham radio. Whether you're doing it with digital, you can do it with your computers, you can do it with Morse code, or do Morse code over computers. You can talk to a radio that sends a signal to someone who's on a sailboat in the ocean. So there's just a lot of variety. There's something for everybody.
Organizers say they'll be hosting another ham radio demonstration. That one is in July, just in time for hurricane season. In Waldo, Alexis Goings, TV 20 News.